StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is a little bit done consistently is better than a lot done randomly. Before we get into this, I'm telling everyone I have a daily motivation text I send out free of charge every single day to everyone who's in my text community. If you'd like to receive this message that is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point, all you have to do is text me at my text number, which is 305-384-6894, and every day when I send out that daily motivation text message, you'll be getting that message straight to your phone for free. Number two, I have a live event called Work on Your Game, happening in person. Work on Your Game live, that is, happening in person here in Miami, Florida, February 3rd and 4th, 2023. You, yes, you should be in the room for that event. I don't want to hear any excuses. I want to hear about what other plans you already got. Cancel the plans. Unless you're getting married or somebody plans on dying that weekend, you need to be in Miami February 3rd and 4th at Work on Your Game Live. Go to workonyourgame.live to get your ticket to the event. There we're going to be covering over the course of 2 days mindset, strategy, systems, execution. Mindset, strategy, systems, execution. Mindset, strategy, systems, execution. Get your ticket by going to workonyourgame.live right now. That event, again, February 3rd and 4th in Miami, Florida. And third, some people ask me, Dre, do you do any form of coaching? The answer is yes, I do. I have one coaching program. There's only one way to get into the program. To do that, go to workonyourgame.net. There's a free training there. Watch the training. It's about 45 minutes. At the end of that training, towards the end of it, a button's going to pop up that will offer you a time to schedule a time on my calendar where we can talk about where you're at, where you want to go, what you learned in the training, what we do in our framework can actually help you get to where you want to go. If you are a good fit for our program, I'll tell you what it is, how it works, how you can get started. Again, that's at workonyourgame.net. With that said, getting into today's topic, again, a little bit consistently is better than a lot done randomly. This episode here is about the long-term play that all of us need to be thinking about. We need to work as if our work is going to be long-term, but still with the urgency as if we don't have a lot of time. It's about the long-term play and understanding that your consistency is more important than how much of a thing you do when you actually get around to doing it, especially if and when you are doing things randomly. You don't want to be doing things randomly. You want to be doing things consistently, because that consistency is going to produce long-term results that last a lot longer than random actions do. So this is really about today playing the long game. And we talked about the long games in some previous episodes of this show, so let me give you a couple of them. Episode 1336, how to play the long game like a true professional. Episode 314, how to play and win the long game of life. Episode number 1457, the many stages of the marathon. Episode 1044, how to finish the marathon strong. Episode 360, life is a marathon. So I'll just give you those few to whet your appetite. You can go listen to those in any episode in the history of the show by going to workonyourgamepodcast.com. Workonyourgamepodcast.com, so you can see any episode in the history of the show. So let's get into our points. Point number one. Topic, once again, is a little bit done consistently is better than a lot done randomly. It was Aristotle who said that you are what you repeatedly do. So you are your consistent behaviors, actions, thoughts, and executions, because every single day you have a certain way of behaving, you have certain actions you take, you have certain thoughts you think, and there are certain results that you produce. So you are those things. You cannot divorce yourself from those things because they are what you are. Your consistency is you. If you want to condense it down to one simple phrase, there it is. Your consistency is you. The challenge for many people is not that you lack the desire or the intention to be good. It's not that you don't want to improve or you don't want to achieve any specific outcomes. Is that you are not taking action on that desire or intention consistently enough, and then when you do take actions, your actions are not consistent, which means your inputs are not consistent, which means your results are not consistent. Have I described your problem accurately just here? And since Aristotle said you are what you consistently do, you are what you repeatedly do, the problem for many people is that they can't even articulate what they repeatedly do, even though you are repeatedly doing certain things, because 85% of what we do and think is habitual but unconscious. So we're not even aware of the stuff that we're doing. So if you look at your life, if you want to know what you're repeatedly doing, just look at your results. Look at the life that you're living. That is a reflection of what you are repeatedly doing. And if you don't like what you're seeing in those results, then what you need to change are your actions. You need to change your inputs, but you need to change the consistency of those inputs, not just the results of the inputs. But you can't change the results without changing the consistency. So since many people don't know what they're repeatedly doing, or if you ask them, they couldn't tell you, even though they are doing something, they couldn't tell you because it's not intentional. Here's the thing, you still get a result. The thing is, your results are haphazard and random simply because your inputs are haphazard and random because your consistency is non-existent. This is the challenge for a bunch of you right now, is that you're not getting the outcomes you want all the time because you're not giving the same inputs all the time. That's your problem. Everybody following what I'm saying here? So have I described your problem accurately? I think I have. So when I was a teenager trying to learn how to play basketball, and I didn't have anybody to teach me, the thing that started to get me ahead of everyone else was the fact, or that eventually got me ahead of everyone else, is that I engaged in what I call the separation day. And I talk about this in my book, The Third Day. You can get this for free by going to thirddaybook.com to get the book, that is. I talk about the separation day. And what the separation day is, showing up and consistently and practicing, showing up consistently and practicing, even when I didn't know exactly what I was doing. Because over time, the days that I showed up and practiced, even when I didn't know how to practice, slowly got me to catch up to the guys who were ahead of me because they weren't showing up. And they were better than me, so even on days they didn't show up, the next day they were still better than me. But as I kept showing up, slowly, I started to close that gap incrementally between where I was and where they were. And this is over the course of years, by the way. And when they, even though they remained better than me for multiple years, only showing up randomly, over time, my consistency beat whatever you want to call what they were doing. My consistency beat their inconsistency. Well, first it caught up to their inconsistency, and then it started to surpass their inconsistency because of the fact that I consistently showed up even when I didn't know exactly what I was showing up to do. I had somewhat of a plan, but I wasn't sure my plan was going to work because I didn't know how to practice basketball. If I knew how, then I wouldn't have been in a position of not being good, right? But I had to keep doing it so I could eventually learn what I was doing and learn how to do what I was doing and learn to do it intentionally because I actually had a plan later on down the line. So you got to get clear on what your plans are and exactly how you want to execute them. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is a little bit consistently is better than a lot done randomly. Number 2, so then, knowing what I said in point number 1, why is it so hard for people to do a little bit and do it consistently? I mean, a little bit sounds pretty easy to do, and consistently just means do it over time, do it over and over again. Why is it so hard for people to do this? Why is this something that I would even need to do an episode on? Because if it's something that you all do, if it's something that everybody just did naturally, I wouldn't have to talk about it. Like, you notice I don't have an episode on, how to breathe or how to blink your eyes or how to make your heart beat, because those are things that we naturally do. So why am I doing an episode on doing a little bit consistently is because so few people do it. But the question is why? Why is it so hard for people to do this? Because it sounds like a pretty easy thing to do. Sounds like a simple thing to do, and I want you to let you know. Your ears are not deceiving you. It is an easy and simple thing to do. That's the reason why it's so hard for many people to do it, because it is so easy and so simple. That's the reason why it doesn't happen. See, the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. This is where the discipline comes in. But remember that any challenge that you have with discipline is actually a challenge with structure. A discipline challenge is a structural challenge. I talked about this in episode number 2366. Because when you structure things a certain way, you can make the discipline relatively easy. So what you need to do here is not force yourself to be more disciplined or to be more focused. Instead, you need to structure your day or your work or your life or all three in a way such that doing a little bit consistently is easy for you. That's really what you want to do here. You want to set things up so that you can do a little bit consistently and it's easy to get done. In other words, you got to have a process and a system. A process is simply a plan of action, also known as a strategy. What is the process that you're going to follow? And the system is what tells you which parts of the process to execute, when, how, when, where, why, and who. That's what the system basically executes the process. But you need both in place in order to do things consistently, so that your days, your work, and your life are structured, and you can do that little bit or even more than a little bit if you want to. But whatever you do, you have to be able to do it consistently. So as an athlete, for example, even to this day, as an athlete, not a professional athlete anymore, but still an athlete. When I go to the gym, for example, I know what I want to be able to do on a consistent basis. I don't go to the gym, even if my energy is amazing, like my energy is through the roof one particular day, I don't try to do a workout that's twice as long simply because I have a whole bunch of energy. I stick to my script, which is if I plan on doing a 25-minute workout, even if I'm feeling like shit, I get the 25-minute workout in. And if I'm feeling amazing, like I could do a 3-hour workout, I still only do that 25 minutes and I get out of there. Why? Because the consistency of following my process is what the system told me to do. Follow the process. This is what you do today. Tomorrow you're gonna do this, and the next day you're gonna do that. Don't try to do more than what I planned on doing just because I'm feeling good. Because if I'm gonna do a 3-hour workout today, that means next time I come to the gym, I gotta do a 3-hour workout again. And if I'm not gonna do it every time, then I shouldn't do it this time. Do what you can do all the time, over and over again. As an athlete, for example, playing basketball, any of you who plays ball or any of you who has, or if you're a coach or something like that, you'll notice that coaches sometimes say to players, when you're practicing or working on your game, practice what they call game shots. Now, what does game shots mean? Game shots means for each individual player, and it's different for each player, practice the kind of shots that you're actually going to get and you will take in a live official game. So if you're not a person who shoots 3-pointers in the games, don't use up a bunch of your practice time practicing 3-pointers, because you're not going to shoot 3-pointers in the game. If you're not a player who goes and tries to dunk all the time in a game, don't be spending all your practice time trying to dunk. Practice the shots that you're actually going to get in the flow of a live game based on your role, based on your skill set, based on your position on the team, based on what the team needs from you. So this is why you need a process and a system, not just desire and intention. Most able-minded human beings have desires and intentions that never come to fruition, not because they don't have the ability, it's because they don't have process, they don't have a system, that lack of process and system holds people back from actually realizing their desires and intentions. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is a little bit done consistently is better than a lot done randomly. Now, since we're talking about a long-term play, and you playing the long game, and you're going to be doing a little bit consistently, and you're looking at the long-term results rather than short-term results, wouldn't it make sense to know that the little bit that you're doing over an extended period of time will actually produce the results that you want? Would that help you? Would it help you out to do a little bit consistently if you knew that that little bit you were doing was actually working towards your desired outcome? So this is where having expert information and having expert advice comes into play. All right, this is why you need a coach. This is why you join mastermind programs. This is why you invest in getting the right information from the right people, such that when you get that expert information, that professional level information that you have invested money into, you're not flying blindly and hoping that your consistent effort actually works. You know for sure that your consistent effort actually works. Why? Because you're following the system. How do we know you're following the system? Because you got that system from someone who has already achieved the outcome. So all they're going to do is show you exactly how to do the same thing that they've already done multiple times, and they probably helped other people already do multiple times. This is why you invest in yourself, folks. This is why you have a coach. This is why you hire, if you run a business, you hire a consultant, because a consultant knows how to achieve a specific outcome that you're trying to achieve. They've helped other people do it already. All they have to do is show you how to do the same thing they showed other people how to do. You pay them for it, you bought time, you achieve your outcomes a lot faster. You win, they win, everybody wins. This is why people who play the game at a high level, whatever game you're in, people who play at a high level are able to do so because they are making investments in themselves that the mediocre and low level people, relatively, simply are unwilling to make. High level, folks, is relative. High level is relative to where you're at. I guarantee you the people who are playing at a higher level than you have simply made more and more consistent investments into buying time than you have. That's why they're playing at a level that you ain't playing at. Notice I didn't say higher level people are making investments that you are unable to make. I said they're making investments that you are unwilling to make. You see, when you're willing to make an investment, you never have the excuse of, well, I don't have the money. I never hear anybody say they don't have the money when they're willing to make an investment. They might say, look, let me get some time, let me put the funds together, let me get some stuff organized, let me move some things around, but they never just shut the door on themselves and say, well, look, I don't have the money, I can't afford it, I can't do it, but they got a $1,000 phone in their pocket and $300 sneakers on their feet. And you know, how much money did you invest in entertainment this year? Movies, clubs, parties. How much did you invest in those things versus how much you invested in your personal and professional development? So nobody's unable to make an investment in themselves. It's just people are unwilling to make investments in themselves. And that's fine if you're unwilling, just don't lie about it. Don't lie to yourself. You lie to me, but don't lie to yourself. You gotta live with you, I don't. So let's recap today's class, which is a little bit consistently is better than a lot randomly. This is about the long-term play and understanding that consistency is more important than how much of a thing you do, especially when you're doing stuff randomly. Number one, Aristotle said you are what you repeatedly do. So you are your consistent behaviors, actions, thoughts, and executions. The challenge many people have is not that you lack desire or the intention to be good, is that you are not taking action consistently enough. And when you're not taking action, then of course your actions won't be consistent. This means you're not giving consistent inputs. This means you can't get consistent outputs, i.e. results. And this is the problem that many people have, is that they're not consistent in their activities, which means there's no way you can ever get consistent in your outcomes. Number two, so then why is it so hard for people to do a little bit consistently? Sounds like a pretty easy thing to do and a simple thing to do. Well, roughly it is. But that's the reason why so many people don't do it, because what's easy to do is also easy not to do, because people take it for granted. So what you need here is not to force yourself to be disciplined. Instead, you need to structure your day, your work, your life in such a way that doing a little bit consistently is actually easy for you to do. This is why you need to have a process and a system, so that the process and the system tell you what to do, not you having to remember to tell yourself what to do. That's the crux of a lot of people's problem right there. Number three, since we're talking about the long game, and you're going to be doing a little bit consistently, and you're looking at long-term results rather than short-term results, you would probably be served to know that the long game that you're playing actually is going to work out in the long run, which means you need to make sure you're plugging into a person who actually has achieved what you want to achieve, and they're doing what you want to do, and they have a system or a process for helping people like yourself do it, and that you are willing to be coachable and you will actually do what they're telling you to do, even if it goes against the grain of what you believe. This is why you invest in yourself. This is why you hire coaches. This is why you hire consultants when you run a business. This is why you join masterminds. This is why people who play the game at a high level, relatively speaking, relative to you, they do so because they make investments that mediocre and low level players simply are unwilling to make. Not unable, but unwilling to make. And this is why they're playing the game at a higher level, because they made investments that you haven't made, which makes sense that they're getting returns that you haven't gotten. All that said, text me, get my daily motivation. My number is 305-384-6894. Next, get your ticket to Work On Your Game Live by going to workonyourgame.live. That's my live in-person event, Miami, Florida, February 3rd and 4th. And get into my coaching program, which is in Work On Your Game University. Go to workonyourgame.net/apply. Fill out, pick a time on the calendar, fill out a quick application form. We'll get on a call, see where you're at, see where you want to go and where you need help. I'll tell you how our system and process can help you achieve it, how we get started, what it will look like. That's all at workonyourgame.net/apply. Work on your game. Dre all day.